G'day, it's Josh Gemelli from Condon Group and Farming Ahead magazine. And we're back in the workshop for Hare and Forbes Machinery Warehouse. And a little bit of workshop tip today. I was doing a job recently on a tractor, and this was an old tractor that had a steering box. Water had got into the steering box and rusted out the bearings. Now, it just so happens I couldn't buy those bearings. They were a weird size and they weren't available anymore. The best thing I could do was get a bearing where the race was just a little bit too large, but the center diameter was correct. So what I had to do was somehow machine that bearing down to fit. And what I ended up using was a toolpost grinder. Now, it's a pretty specialized piece of equipment and it's not something that I would normally own just for a one-off job. So I made my own. And this is it. You can pick these are reasonably good quality angle grinders, but you can pick them up brand new for around about $50. And what I have done is I have attached it to a piece of square tube with a couple of well-placed hose clamps. And this fits in the lathe tool post. This would normally be attached to the lathe. And that's going to fit in there and be clamped in there, and then we can use that like a tool. The reason we use tool post grinding is for really hard materials. So look, lathe tools are pretty hard, but there are some things, and bearing races are a prime example, but I really don't want to cut them. And if they can cut them, it's very hard to hold the tolerance. So instead of trying to take that fine tolerance off using a cutting tool, we actually grind it. Now, tool post grinding is a little bit slow, but it's a fantastic way of removing material accurately. Some of the downsides are, it does throw sparks, and it probably coats your lathe in a little bit of abrasive material that may not otherwise want. Now here's the old bearing and the new bearing side by side. You can see the new bearing. The bearing housing is a little bit on the fat side. We've got to shave a little bit off that. There's no way we can machine this in the lathe without making a real mess. So we've got our grinder. We've turned the grinder on. Note the rotation of the grinder, so it's throwing sparks away from the bed of the lathe. It takes a little while, but it takes off just the required amount. Pretty accurate, and in the end you can see the job we've done. We've got that bearing race down to size, and here it is, final product and installed back in the steering box. Job done, and we didn't have to farm it out to an engineering company. I'll catch you next time.